Right here, it's nice.
But first, today, the media have declared Joe Biden as the winner of the US presidential election. Even though it isn't their job to actually make that call, they've done so despite the requirement for recounts and, of course, the pending legal challenges. This is quite simply an extraordinary decision, but it certainly fits the history where the media have manufactured negative Trump tales and they've failed to cover the failings of Joe Biden. Now, I'm not here tonight to debate the merits of the respective candidates. We will all have our preferred one, and I continue to unashamedly support President Trump. Others on this panel have backed Joe Biden. I think that's okay because it leads to spirited and healthy political debate. But what's not okay is to see how a once great representative democracy has now been tainted by shameless media bias, blatant big tech censorship, partisan pollsters, and of course ballot tampering. Now, all of these things have been done to favour the Democratic Party candidate Joe Biden. The media were largely silent on the evidence linking Biden to his family's cash for access business, but they were more than happy to report as fact almost any spurious claim against President Trump. And of course the tech oligarchs, most notably Twitter and Facebook, also refused to allow the facts of that corruption investigation to be discussed widely on their platforms. And so while these tech oligarchs refuse to censor Iran's Ayatollah Khomeini, who advocates genocide of the Jews, they don't have any problem stopping discussion of one of the biggest political scandals in US history. Then we come to the pollsters. They were wrong, so terribly wrong, that they were either hopelessly incompetent or perhaps deliberately dodgy. But why would they be touting a blue wave and a massive win for the Democrats, even though it wasn't going to happen? Well, it didn't work, but their intention was clearly to discourage and suppress the Republican voter turnout. It's an old trick. But perhaps the most worrying thing about this election is the clear vote tampering. It's now known that a software glitch in swing state counting machines credited Trump votes to Biden. We've since heard from intelligence community insiders that claim the glitch is actually surveillance and vote manipulation software, known respectively as the Hammer and Scorecard. The existence of these manipulation tools is not disputed. It has been documented in 2015 court testimony by CIA contractors. But if that interference wasn't enough to guarantee victory, it's no coincidence that hundreds of thousands of Biden votes were dumped into the system during the dead of election night. There was no reference to where they came from or how they appeared. These, coincidentally, were just enough to get him over the line in some of those key swing states. Now, we also know that many dead people are recorded as voting, including Jason Lemoyne Daniel. He was born in 1850 and this year celebrates his 170th birthday. I bet he enjoyed the vote. Many happy returns, Jason. There are the videos, of course, of Democratic operatives admitting to paying people for their voting papers. We've seen thousands of Trump ballots dumped in drains and bins and so much more. But such was the interest in this election that voter turnout was incredibly high, or perhaps I should say improbably high. It's also odd that Biden seemed to underperform 2016 candidate Hillary Clinton in almost every major metropolis. Oh, of course, except for those key swing states that used questionable methods and those flawed counting machines. Contrary to federal law, Republican scrutineers were denied access to view the counting process in key states, and whistleblowers insist that the post office has illegally been backdating votes received from registered Democrats. I could go on and on and on about the documented cases that raise questions. But thus far, the US media have simply dismissed the evidence of these fraud claims with nary a whimper. This sort of election manipulation used to be the preserve of banana republics and tin pot dictatorships. It pains me greatly to say that, unfortunately, we can't make that claim any longer.